Hi,
Hello.
how are you today?
Very good, and you?
I'm so good. Where are you at?
I am based in Cyprus in the Mediterranean.
How cool. How long have you been there?
On and off, 22 years.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I love getting to meet people from all over.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of Cyprus? It's okay if you
Only,
haven't.
only just in passing. Well, to be fair, I know shit about geography, like just period. I just don't. I missed all of that in elementary school and high school.
Yeah.
But I know where the Mediterranean is ish, and I have heard of Cyprus, but really only in passing. I'm sure it was on the news. If
Yeah.
I'm being
Yeah.
honest.
It's a little island between Africa and the Middle East. So it's on
Okay.
Africa. It's technically still Europe, and it's divided into Greek-speaking and Turkish-speaking
I was about
Cyprus.
to ask that. Okay, that may be why I've heard of it actually, because we were going to take a Mediterranean cruise at some point.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
that's why.
And in ancient Greek mythology, Cyprus is the birthplace of goddess Aphrodite. So
Oh gosh, you're just in the
yeah,
map.
and
I
I
love
think
that.
it's a really interesting thing. I keep saying, like, I've been trying to get off the island for 22 years, and she keeps bringing me back. So I think that there's something here energetically
Uh-huh.
that I'm here to work on, here to work through with the goddess Aphrodite as my muse. It's a fascinating archetype as well that I do a lot of work with women, and that's an archetype that resonates so much with the wounded feminine.
Yeah. Will you explain that? Just because I know I have a lot of audience members who won't know what that means.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll find a way to weave it in.
Well, so I'm already recording and I don't do like an official intro or anything like that. We just have like an organic conversation. Um, so I was looking at your bio 5 seconds ago and
Okay,
like no
perfect.
pretense. I these
Little bit of research.
we got booked, like I put it out there like, hey, anyone who wants to be on, and I got a much bigger response than I could have dreamed for, but it's making me so happy, obviously. But
That's
like I
amazing, though,
don't get a lot of
right?
time to like look people up to see who I'm talking to before, but I kind of like that. But when I
Yeah.
saw your profile, I'll tell you, like, I'm very excited more and more of people in the spiritual realm are like coming to this space with me because my this podcast is evolving a little bit, and some of that is because of the fucking cool people I get to interview. So I mean, it's never going to be like anything different really than what it is, except for that I'm less scared of speaking my truth. I live in a very, very, very conservative state in the US, and when we say conservative, we mean that religion rules all here. And like I'm in the state that is now requiring Bibles at school, in public school. So
Which state were you in?
Oklahoma.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very
It's
positive.
yeah, it's cute. And so I mean you can understand, like I was like I would at first, like probably the first 2 months, I wasn't really talking about how into astrology I was. I didn't talk about spirituality. And it's not like I'm talking a lot about it individually, but I'm welcoming these conversations and giving my truth. And it's been so cool. And now I'm attracting more and more of the spiritual folk, which just makes my whole life better. So
Yeah.
I'm so
Well,
excited.
I'm so open to these topics because I actually specialize in psycho-spiritual mentorship. So psychology is part of the conversation, but
Mhm.
spirituality is a very big part of it as well. And that is something that I will explain a little bit more, like why we need to be inclusive of both of those parts of us.
Yeah.
And religion, I mean, I identify as Christian and I have a relationship with God, but religion has made us shun and be scared of spirituality. And also there's a lot of, surface level spiritual fluff and bullshit out there, which is not in alignment with the divine.
Right.
And it's really in alignment with what I call God, and there's a lot of language that like dances around it, but doesn't like fully embrace it. And if you're not fully embracing it, then you're not really having like the full human experience, which for me, and the way that I've translated it through my own healing journey, is we are expressions of God. And we've been put here in human form to have these experiences, good and bad, because these are part of our God experience.
Mm-hmm. And I like to say, like, for people who are so hesitant to even talk about spirituality outside of Christianity, like, if you are on any sort of healing journey, that has to include mind, body, spirit. And I attribute spirit so much more to earth, like just the grounding of earth and our just how we interact on the earth than I do, anything else, because that is the purpose. You're here, you're supposed to become tethered and anchored in this body that you've been given and achieve this soul's purpose. To put it very, very simply, but I don't know, it just doesn't seem so scary to me. But I definitely remember when I was super indoctrinated into the type of teaching that this state provides, and I was so scared, like, to do anything remotely spiritual, because I was like taught that anything outside of that church and that Bible, that's it. You're devilish, Satan.
Absolutely. And I have a brother that is in one of these like Christian cults, and God, the brainwashing is so real.
Yes.
They make you so terrified of any other word except for the exact words which are written in the Bible, which, by the way, have been translated.
Right.
So
this is the only thing to follow, and it's not even true. Yeah.
Well, the Bible does mention manifestation, right? And the Bible does talk about manifestation without explicitly using the word manifestation. And the Bible does refer to the zodiacs without explicitly using that word, because those words needed to be translated so that people wouldn't dive deeper into topics that could possibly lead them away from the church, because it's an institution.
Right, because the church serves a real financial purpose and a real oppressive purpose, and the whole system is designed from top down to oppress others.
Exactly. And like in olden times, the church was essentially government.
Yes.
And
my son and I had that conversation. Yes.
Where I live, in the Mediterranean cultures, in Italy, in Greece, in Spain, where there's a strong Catholic institution, and in Greece it's the Greek Orthodox. The church does play a role in politics, right? They are one of the kind of unspoken, unmentioned political parties, because they have an interest.
Absolutely. Like, I remember watching one of the popes give a speech about his thoughts on preventing pregnancy, and I was just like, hopeless. You're taking away hope, because because the Pope reaches masses. That's every country's got people looking to this person that they've placed on this pedestal. You really have been trained to believe that this person has more God in him than you,
and
more
he's closer to God, right?
And that he gets to tell you what to do. Like, this is why we have so many abused children, because people are having children they don't have the capacity to raise from religious viewpoints. all because some person told them that's what they have to do. Like, hell yes, I'm passionate about the better treatment of children. That's not going to come from stopping abortions or stopping people from getting pregnant. I'm sorry. It's just, it's what are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a whole other rabbit hole that maybe we don't want to go.
It's just such a testament to how much our thinking and these narratives that are created through programming throughout our childhood and early adulthood, they rule you until you decide that they're not going to. But if you're too scared to take that first step and just shift your paradigm just a little bit, I mean, I can understand that. I remember being really afraid that I would go to hell if I were to investigate any other thing. Not to mention, I was also taught very strongly that to venture into any type of spirituality would invite evil spirits into my life.
Yeah, like even yoga, like even practicing yoga is demonic worship.
Yeah, I couldn't do it for a really long time, except for at the YMCA, where this lady just like talked about the science of it. She didn't get into any like spiritual stuff. And so I was like, okay, doing that because I noticed a huge benefit in my body. And so I was like, okay. But at that time, I was terrified to even tell people I was doing yoga.
Yeah, I hear you. And this really brings me kind of to the topic that we're going to be discussing in like the healing realm. The church as a schooling, let's just put it that way, as an educational schooling system, were the inventors, shall we say, of two of the most crippling emotions, and that is guilt and shame.
Yep.
Guilt and shame in my work are not real emotions. They are manufactured.
That's the biggest work I do with people. Yep.
Yeah. They're manufactured emotions that we are taught, right? And the only other animal in the animal kingdom that shows, or at least appears to show, guilt and shame are domesticated dogs, because they have been raised by humans. Why do we teach guilt and shame to our dogs? Because we need them to behave a certain way.
Compliance.
Exactly. It's a form of manipulation. And so many people suffer unnecessarily with guilt and shame and fear of judgment, and they carry these burdens around with them because they haven't learned forgiveness, right? Forgiveness is like a word that they haven't learned how to practice. So guilt and shame, these manufactured emotions, override our natural ability to heal, and forgiveness is one of our healing modalities.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think so much of what I talk to my clients about is you will learn to do things from a place of love and compassion for yourself first, but to get there, you have to find love and compassion for yourself, and just teaching people how to, it truly is a decision. Like, I am going to decide to forgive myself for every human act I've ever committed, because that is my intention on this earth, is to be a human, and that allows mistakes. And we don't even have to call them failures. They're just it's
lessons.
Exactly.
Right. That's your,
how else are you Yeah, and I mean, it is the human design to learn by fucking up a little bit. I mean, that's just how it is. Like, none of us learn everything by watching others experience it. Like, that's just the compliant lessons that you learn. You learn to get your ass in line when you see someone else get a spanking or whatever else. But like, in terms of experiencing these real life lessons, man, you got to go through the dark to find light, period, every time. And so, I remember just someone even one time reminding, because I was really nervous about something and I was kind of judging myself for being nervous. This was not that long ago. So I was just like, I know better. I shouldn't be, you know what I mean? I was just doing that thing. And then
Mm.
she was like, what if you just told yourself, like, even though I was anxious, like, I forgive myself for not trusting, and like, I'm a human. I'm allowed to have any emotion or thought that I want to. I just have to know what to do with those things. And just sitting in forgiveness for just a second, like, that's when a light bulb came on, that like I really had been doing the work. And because I was like, yeah, you're right. Let me connect with that feeling really quick of forgiveness. And it is such a key to everything, because when you can learn that you just have to accept yourself for exactly who you are, for light and dark, because it all serves a purpose, and your darkness is generally your greatest like strength in the world. So utilize it, don't fight it.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget that we came from darkness, right? Our first home was a woman's body. Our first home was a mother's womb. And we went through a birthing portal from dark into light, from night into day. And it's that beautiful cycle of life. The birth and death happen simultaneously. The birth, death, birth, death, birth, death. And that for me is what Christ learned how to make it instantaneous. For me, Christ's resurrection and his rebirth is instantaneous death and rebirth. And as we grow and as we evolve, there are parts of us and parts of our identity which we need to outgrow. So metaphorically, which needs to die so that a new version of us can be born.
Yeah. And I think I remember just very recently working through letting go of some things, and I could identify so much fear and a fear of loss, basically. And I have a huge loss wound, so it's not surprising to me that that's what was coming up, but I was very surprised at how difficult it was to let it go and say, I am willing to let go of anything that's going to promote me higher, like that's going to get me further. I am willing to, and I stand on that, but I don't want to feel like afraid of it every minute, so I was just like, you're afraid of loss, but that doesn't mean that you're losing anything. You're gaining so much. And I've just learned how to talk to my inner child about stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, just to your point, it's just so important to remember that it all serves a purpose. It really does. And it's happening for you and not to you.
Absolutely. And that again has to do with our conditioning, right? What we were taught about the unknown and about venturing too far out from this very, very narrow little path, right? Because it's in the realm of the unknown that we've been taught that fear and doubt and loss and failure and rejection exists. And that's because that veil has been placed in front of us. But what if in the realm of the unknown, everything that you desire is possible, probable, and available? What if in the realm of the unknown, can I swear?
Oh yeah, girl.
Something greater things are waiting for you beyond what you currently trust and know to be true.
Yeah. And if you just surrender and release and just trust and allow and flow, it really does work out. Maybe not the way you want it to right then. Eventually, you're going to get everything you want. It possibly not going to look the way you thought it would look, but I'm thinking of a feeling than anything, like I balance the impact I want to make on the world and also the impact I would like to be made in my world, but like the further I get into this mission of helping heal, the less I tie the income goals that I have to this mission, because this has been my purpose since I was born. I was one of the lucky ones who knew my purpose. You know what I mean? Like I've known it since very young. It's the only reason I survived the childhood I had, because I decided, like, no, this is my purpose. I'm going to get through this, and then I'm going to help everybody else get through theirs, because that's what I'm here for. And I probably took a little time during healing to just say, like, I don't have to believe that if I don't want to. I just need to heal. Like, I have to take
I
care.
just need to focus on me right now.
Right, right. And then
Mm.
as I've like really found peace and joy and
Mm.
love for myself, I'm like the most sure. Like, okay, I am here for a purpose and I'm not stopping. Like, I'm going to keep going forward. I have a mission of a global impact to
Mm.
help the world heal themselves.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it does take, I think that ultimately the trust that we're lacking is trust in ourselves.
Well, that's what it is. It's always a double-edged sword, right? When we think, oh, I don't trust others, that's actually a reflection of my lack of trust in myself, right? Because if I don't trust others, it means that the people that I have trusted have betrayed me, have let me down. Therefore, I must not be a good judge of who's trustworthy.
Right, right. Well, and also I think that, childhood robs us of our intuition and learning what our own voice sounds like because we were taught to be compliant. Like it's beat out of you, it's shamed out of you, it's guilted out of you, it's all of
Pulled out of you, right? The education has a very big role in that.
absolutely.
Let's also like not dismiss the fact that we're being raised by people that were raised by other traumatized people, right? And that's where we talk about ancestral and generational trauma that's been passed down from generation to generation. It's been passed down because that's all that they know, right?
Yeah.
And it's no one's fault. There's no blame. Like everyone did the best that they could do with what they had at the time. But if you are the lucky/unlucky one to be at least awoken to, OMG, like I don't want this. I don't want to carry this and I don't want to pass it on. So that means that I have to do the burdensome work of unloading this. Because let's not kid ourselves. It's work and it's work and it's uncomfortable. And that's where seeking support is so fundamental. And I think that the spiritual evolution of our soul, it's designed for us to learn how to ask for and receive support, because otherwise we would just be able to DIY everything, right?
This
like
is
I would
such a confirmation of shit I'm going through right now. Like I've been going through a hard time this last week with one of my kids, and I've learned through healing to identify what I need. I'm not always great at knowing when that need is support, and I hate asking for it, but I've had to because I don't want to do things the same way I did when I was unhealed. So I said to my husband, like, I just rattled off 3 things I needed him to do for me, right? Like, just here, this is something I need really bad right now because I can't and it needs to be done. And then I had to ask him to go with me somewhere, and I'm not used to that. I'm used to just like for instance, when my grandma, who primarily raised me, died like 8 years ago, I went to that funeral by myself. Like I didn't have anyone there to support. Well, a friend of mine ended up showing up, but I didn't ask anyone. And I very much knew I needed someone with me, but it was like, well, this is just my life. You know, that narrative, I have to carry the weight of the world on my shoulders by myself. And so I was confirming that by not asking for help. And then nobody helped. And so I got to, confirm that narrative really nicely that I'm alone. I'm alone. I'm invisible. I'm unseen. Nobody cares about me as much as I care about them. Blah, blah, blah. And I don't want to do that shit anymore. So I was like, I need you there with me. And I was so fucking glad afterwards because I saw how much I needed him there. But like little things that I'm now like, yes, I need that. Please help me. But just yesterday I was thinking, like with Pluto moving into Aquarius and whatever, I was like, okay, I think this next phase is about fucking asking for support when I need it. And I'm not ready for like more stuff to happen to make me learn how to ask for support. So I'm like, okay, who am I supposed to share my life with? Just tell me who to tell what's going on, because I don't trust my friends with my shit. I don't, because, well, I mean, the truth is I don't know how to get support from other people. I don't know how to feel supported, because I tell them what's going on. They say shit that irritates me. I don't know how to work through that. Like, that's the God honest truth. Like, even still, as a therapist, when I go to a friend and I say something and they respond with something dumb, that's it for me. Like, I don't have anything else to say, you know? So, like, who the fuck are you supposed to go to?
Yeah, I hear you, and I think that that is really part of the, the feminine wound that needs to be healed on a collective level. This is why I work with women. I mean, it was unintentional. It wasn't something I planned. It turned out to be part of my life path. But yeah, the woman, the mother, the wife, the businesswoman, is particularly in the family unit. The woman is the support line, the lifeline, the bloodline of the family. And if the woman is falling apart, then what could the possible health of the family look like? And in communities, if women are isolated and disconnected, ancestrally as well, women raised their children together, women cleaned their houses together, women fed their families together. Women need community so much more. Although I do believe it's important for men as well. It's a part of our program. And the modern world, particularly since women have joined the workforce, has masculinized us, right? Yeah. And that over masculinization of women is what's causing 60% more women than men to burn out. That's a statistic. Because of our energy cycles, we're depleting and we're serving and we're working and we're loving from a place of depletion. And the feminine's ultimate desire is safety and security. The masculine's ultimate desire is freedom. And those might look like they conflict each other, particularly in like the dating world, when a woman just wants to like lock her partner down and the man just wants to like go with the flow.
Yeah.
Ultimately, security and safety is something that needs to first be created within yourself before it will manifest in your environment. And for the masculine, the ultimate form of freedom is commitment. Because as soon as you commit to something and you ground into it, then all the other distractions, everything else just falls apart.
There's no more decisions to be made at that point.
Oh, now it's just
live your life. Yeah, exactly. And like, I mean, I'm certainly in search of community, and like I feel like I'm starting to build one with this podcast, like just meeting different people. Yeah. And it's right now looking different than I thought it was, but I certainly feel a connection with everyone that I have on here, and I feel even supported, even if it's just for that hour. And to your point, like, this family looked very different when I was very unhappy, and now I mean, it's very obvious I'm the ruler of this house's mood. You know what I mean? Like, I determine the barometer of this place. And I feel the energy. Like, I remember a few months ago being like, man, I have really raised the vibrations in this house. Like, everybody's just vibrating higher, you know? But yeah, whenever it's my turn to say, like, gather around, it still feels a little uncomfortable. Like, even if I talk myself through the fact that I'm irritated by somebody's response, I don't know how, other than my husband, to be held really by people. And that was the biggest thing I said, was like, I don't fucking want to be strong anymore. I've identified as strong my whole life, and I want to be soft, and I want to be held, and I want to be nurtured. Like, I have a deep burning desire. I get those things now because I can give them to myself and allow and receive them from others. But damn, dude, there were for a very long time, it was just me giving, and not like no one else was reciprocating, not like that. But I didn't know how to ask for the
Yeah.
thing back. And obviously, I'm doing something that I really teach people is you're only doing things. You're loving people in the way that you're begging them to love you back. And when you love them, you create this social contract in your brain full of expectations that you're never going to fucking communicate, and you fully expect them to know. So then when they don't meet your expectations, your betrayal wound grows 10 times larger every time.
You're validating that your belief is true. You just keep creating and recreating evidence to support your default programming, right?
Exactly.
And your default programming was based on what your parents were taught and how your parents functioned, right? It's brain patterning that was developed due to experiences, aka traumas that we had, and that brain patterning essentially is our coding. So that coding will determine the program that is life that we are writing, constantly manifesting.
Absolutely. And I mean, as much as I know about neuroscience and negativity bias and whatever, boy, it's crazy because I was really examining how I've pushed everyone away my whole life. And I mean, I never would have categorized anything I've done as that. I felt very sure I was doing the right thing any of those times. And just going through and being like, okay, but I know in my gut that why I did that, but I haven't, like, it takes a minute to be like, at what point was that decision made by this desire to protect myself? And just going through each relationship that I have thoroughly fucked up and figuring it out, I was like, and now it's been so long since like I ghosted some of these people that like I don't feel right to enter their space at all to apologize. So I just have to just like send out love and just hope that like they know I was just really a fucked up human. I didn't know better, you know?
And it was, you know, that was just your level of consciousness at that point in time. Like you couldn't have done anything different. You couldn't have thought or felt any differently because that's all you knew, right? And the more that you do this work, the less that you realize that you know. And what happens there is that you're basically starting to, I don't want to say break, you know, certain falsehoods or truths that were so default programmed into you, but you start to question things from a higher level of consciousness without so much attachment to who's right and what's right. Because from everyone's perspective, they're right.
Absolutely.
Whatever happened anywhere, you know, there's that saying that like there's your version, my version, and somewhere in the middle there's the truth.
Yeah.
The more truth that you can accept, and when I say truth, I'm talking capital T, not little lowercase t. The more truth that you can accept about yourself and about the world, the more you are able to evolve. Absolutely. When you're just so triggered into your default survival reactions and patterns, like you're so stuck in a program that's simply not running optimally. So that means that your experience will always be jarred, right? That like friendships will end and you'll quit your job and you'll hate people and then at some point, you know, our ego steps in. It's like, oh shit, I did fuck up, but can I really go back and apologize now? It's been so long, like it feels so awkward. I'm so embarrassed to admit that my reaction was over the top, or maybe I was wrong, because at that point in time, I was right. And you were right.
Oh, absolutely. I was so right. I was so right and self-righteous in my rightness. Like I was like, I am so right and you are so wrong. But that's so much of like what I'm teaching clients is always offering a different perspective. Like, I don't want to invalidate you, but I am going to tell you they're saying the exact same thing you are, and you're not here together. You know, like every client, I'm like, this comes up a lot. Whenever I'm talking, they don't listen. They just offer solutions. And I say, I bet you do that same thing. I bet you do. And more often than not, they do. But even, I just had this conversation last night with a client. Even if you really are so solid in the belief that you're such a good listener and whatever, then maybe now's the time for you to understand that you're only doing that, or that you're doing that so that you will receive that back, and you're creating an expectation, but you didn't communicate it. So you feel betrayed every time this person gives you unsolicited advice, which we know is a trauma response, to have a negative reaction to unsolicited advice. And just understanding that, forgiving yourself for your over the top reactions, and asking your partner to help you by saying, do you need this? Can I, like, how can I help you? What do you need? Whatever. But that is still you. That's all about you. It's really not about what this person's doing. It's about you learning to identify what you need and asking for it.
Yeah. And you use the key word there, learning, right? Because it's not something that we should automatically all know.
Right.
It's something
Exactly.
that we should have all learned in childhood, but then that would have needed our parents and our caregivers and our teachers to have that level of consciousness,
Right.
which wasn't available back then. And it's definitely a lot more normalized now. And I see so many parents doing such a great job at communicating to their child, asking their child questions, and trusting their child's answer, right?
Yes.
It's not something that was normal when we were kids.
Oh.
When we didn't agree with our parents, we would get punished, or we would get told off. Or I mean, my mom's answer whenever I said why, like, why must I do this? Why must I? Why? My mom's answer was always just because the sky's too high, because I said so. Like that. There's no questioning what I said.
Exactly.
Yeah, just
Exactly. I'm your mom. You listen. And it's
Yeah.
like, I want to listen. I just want to know why this,
I want to
like,
understand
you
as
think so
well.
highly on this, you know?
Yeah.
I'm really, my struggle has been learning to ask my daughter. I have 3 kids, but you know, those other 2 are pretty much grown. And but my daughter's 10, and like, I'm having to do so much repair because she's gotten the absolute worst version of me. And so I'm learning to say, like, what do you need right now? And then she can't answer because she's dysregulated. And so I'm like, do you need to cuddle? Do you need food? Do you need sleep? And I've taught her about this thing, zones of regulation. So she's pretty good at understanding which zone she's in and kind of what in theory you may need in that zone. But like, when she's in a zone that's completely dysregulated, she can't stop and go, yeah, I do. But it's so funny how just offering a couple of solutions, she can calm and she can come get the nurturing she's needing. And then we can move on to the next thing she's needing. And then boom, it's done. But I can think of how many times I made that situation so much bigger by just being like, I can't fucking deal with this. What are you doing, psycho? You know, like, what are you doing? And now it's just like, damn, a little bit of validation goes so far.
Yeah. And that is also something that human design helps to understand about ourselves, because I know that you spoke about this with another guest. There are 5 human design types.
I just downloaded that. Like, I've just started learning about it because of those guests.
What are you? What are you? Do you know?
I'm a generator.
Yeah. You see, your daughter is probably also a generator.
She's
and
a
generator.
I've put her information in. And yeah, so she's a no, she's a manifester. My husband's a manifesting generator. Charlie's a manifester, and my 2 boys are generators.
Okay, very different. Generators and manifesting generators need options. They need that multiple choice, because it helps them to identify, this feels better than this one. Like if they only have one choice, then they feel stuck. If they have too many choices, they feel overwhelmed. Whereas manifestors, I'm a manifester. I don't need a lot of explanation. I don't need a lot of time. Like my yes and no is instant. You know, and if you say, but why? I can't explain it. Like I just feel my and our energy cycles are completely different to generators. Our traumas and our wounds are a whole different set than generators. So I actually have woven human design into my certification because I teach other practitioners and healers and coaches the rapid alignment therapy, which is my modality. And human design is a part of that, because by understanding someone's human design, when I first learned my human design, it blew my mind. It just helped me to understand myself so much better. And it completely changed the way that I do business. And it helps me to understand why and how I interact differently with different people, that there's nothing wrong with me. I'm just a different design. And the world, and especially the working force world, the working world was designed for generators, which is why the number 5 works really well for the majority, which is like 70% of the world. And doesn't work so well for people like me and your daughter who are manifestors, who have less consistent energy. When you are living in your design, you have boundless, endless amounts of energy, which is so amazing. I'm almost like positively envious of you. You guys can multitask, you have an open aura, opportunities come to you, people want to include you, people want to have you on board, people want to work with you and for you. You are so fortunate in that perspective. Manifestors, or not but and manifestors have a completely different experience because they have a closed aura. People can't always read them, and when they can't read them, they may interpret that as disliking them, right? And they won't be able to place their finger on it. Like, I don't know why, I just don't like her, she irritates me. And it's not because there's something wrong with that person, because the closed energy, the closed aura doesn't allow you to get a read. As a generator, the most common things that you are here to heal from and decondition from and learn is FOMO, right? Like, stop overcommitting and bleeding all your energy to all these tasks that aren't taking you closer to your soul path. FOMO is a real thing, and people pleasing, like healing that people pleasing wound, because that comes from a fear of saying no. But when you know your purpose, when you know your purpose, and this is, where the masculine teaches us the freedom that is created in commitment. When you're absolutely committed to your purpose, the direction that you have in is so clear that everything else that isn't taking you closer to that is a no. Like it's that simple. It's not, do I want to do this, or this sounds like fun, I don't want to let this person down. It's, is this taking me closer to where I want to go? Yes, no. If it's a no, sorry, not for me.
Right. Yeah. And I think too, whenever I finally created safety in my body to be able to connect with my body, to use it for another sense, that was really powerful. It was scary because I started to realize how impacted I am by my environment, and I have become much more afraid to go into certain environments because I'm not ready to
burn out again.
I need to be really slow entering into other people's spaces now, because it's not worth losing an ounce of peace anymore. And like, I was somewhere the other day that was very overstimulating with fluorescent lighting, and people's energy was off the chart bad, and I almost had a panic attack because I was like not feeling the vibe. I was not happy there, and it was a place I had to be. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this is awful. But it is also such a gift to now actually, like, all I could think was, this used to happen all the time, but that's how I woke up and went to sleep and didn't even know. I had no idea.
Realize that this is my body responding to this. This is my nervous system trying to get my attention, saying, oh my God, get here. And because everybody's there, you kind of force yourself to be there as well and be okay with it, because everybody else seems to be okay with it, right? So it's a real fear of rejection. To be the different one, to say, you know what, this isn't for me, I'm going.
Well, that's like open about holidays here in America. Like, Thanksgiving is coming up, and I'm like, I don't go to my husband's families because it robs me of my peace, truly. And I don't do that anymore. And every year I ask myself, do I feel like I could benefit from that? Like, could I tolerate it? First of all, could I benefit anything? And I'm like, no, I can't. Even in my most healed state, I can't do it. I can't do it because I know what I'm walking into, and it's not good for me.
I know that's like one of the downsides of healing is that your tolerance for bullshit just drops. And suddenly when you felt obligated to do now you're like, no.
Not even a contemplation. Like the no comes immediately. And then later I'll be like, well, now that, let's just think, no. I mean, I can't even give it real thought. It's an
no. The body doesn't lie. It says no.
It does not. And everything from head to toe says no.
No.
And I'm like, let's not ignore that.
Well. Yeah, for me as well, like culturally, family and obligations are so important for us, and everybody does the thing that they don't want to do because it's family and because it's this, because like it's so stark in contrast to the way that I am now that I'm like fully living in my body, and the way that my body communicates to me, because your body's innate wisdom and your body's innate ability to heal are always here. But when we're disconnected from the throat down, then we can't feel that, right? And we're doing everything on a cognitive level, like, oh, I have to because they will, and because he will say, and they have to. And we're living in everybody else's heads, not living in their bodies.
Right.
Little brains that are like connecting to each other's judgments and each other's feelings and opinions, that we're not feeling and having our own experience.
Exactly.
And as a woman as well, we're like numbing ourselves from our psychic abilities, from our pleasure, and from our ability, literally and figuratively, to birth, right? We are creatrixes. We are able to birth physical life, but we're also able to birth art. We're able to birth music. We're able to birth so many incredible gifts that are simply being channeled to us and through us, as an extension of God wanting to express itself in the world.
Right. Yeah. And I just like it, I keep thinking about how disconnected I was from my body. And the first time that I used a grounding technique that worked for me specifically, because some of the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and stuff, it doesn't catch me fast enough to where I can focus just on that, because I have the ability to think about 75 million things at once. So at the time I was struggling really bad with my thoughts and not having control over them. So I just started doing something that worked for me. And the first time that I was like, hey, we're in our head, you got to get in your heart and let's get there, and felt myself enter my body and out of my brain, it was like, this is what I've been missing my whole life. And now that I have a very calm nervous system, I'm seeing what the effects of that life was on me physically, because the stress that I've been going through recently, it is wrecking my GI system. I'm exhausted, like, stuff like that. And now I just know how to tend to those physical needs, and part of that is tending to your emotional needs, but like your physical body is going to respond to the things that are happening to you, and you have to take care of that. But I didn't even know how affected I was, because it was just, that was my life. Constant.
And that was also normal. Like I would almost like money on it that everyone in your community, all the women in your community, were so disconnected that was just normal, right? Like everyone was just suffering with IBS or unexplained like all these psychosomatic symptoms of your body communicating, screaming, like, please pay attention.
Yeah. And I remember like feeling that way and just like being so depressed that I was like, can't care. But I mean, absolutely. But that's what's made, I'm not sad about like friendships that have kind of like tethered away, because I know that I couldn't possibly be in the presence of people that I used to be, because I'm not that version of myself anymore, and I only attracted them in to reflect that version of me. So I'm not sad, and I can't, lonely could be a word to use, but I don't feel lonely because I'm very connected with like my people, you know. In fact, I'm overjoyed to spend time with my family, whereas I used to avoid them at all cost. I mean, I would run away from home, like to Target or whatever, all the time. So now I'm like, let's hang out. And so really this little bubble at home is so great and safe. But I'm recognizing like I need community, and that this next phase in life, I'm not, if I want the global impact, it does require, you know, that. And you know, I'm just being patient because they're not meant for me anymore. They're not. And I hate to even talk about that on here because it sounds shitty to people, but I'm shitty. I haven't placed myself on any pedestal. But if you,
it's not coming from a place of judgment. It's
not
really acknowledging that I was a different person, which is why we were able to vibe, right? It's not like
just now.
different or you're less or I'm better. It's not at all coming from a place of judgment. It's just acknowledging who I was then versus who I am now. And who I am now needs to surround herself with people on this frequency.
Right.
And I think also like God does this beautiful thing that when you're going through that rebirth, people and things drop out of your life.
Do rapidly.
And you're left alone for a period.
Yep.
Because you have to go through that birthing portal alone.
Right. Yeah.
You're still alone.
Yeah.
Really, God is guiding you
Yeah.
to the other side.
That's much sense.
And it's what you said, like we perceive that as loss, like, oh, I lost my friends and I lost my clients and I lost my job. It's like, no. They were there for the phase of your life that they were supposed to be there. And maybe in the future your paths will cross again.
Right.
Not they've served their purpose. Like absolutely every single relationship, however good or bad or whatever label you want to put on it, is exactly right for that version of you.
Absolutely.
For you to burn, you know, yourself.
Yeah.
So that you learn, so that you can learn to respond differently, to show you a pattern which has been on repeat.
Yes, and boy,
when you see the pattern, can you pattern interact?
Right. Yeah, that was the hardest thing for me to learn was, oh, I've been doing this exact shit my whole life. Like, oh, okay, that really wasn't working for me so well. And just really examining all of my issues with self-worth and where that started. Obviously, it was easy to pinpoint, and kind of the journey that I've gone through to find it, because I certainly was very unaware of all of the shame I was carrying around. I mean, I just did not know. I remember 2 years ago telling someone, like, you gotta love yourself more, man. I love myself, blah, blah, blah. I didn't not love myself, but I certainly hated lots of parts of me without even being aware of it. And so unraveling that shame was key, because then I could release it and understand, like, it was just there to protect me from something, but like, I can go now. I can go and you can go, and that's okay. But I guess I don't think anything in relation to me. Like, I don't feel a loss of anyone. I don't feel that. I feel such a gain in this new life. But the person inside of me who fucking loves humans so much doesn't want to hurt others by like leaving them, you know, but it is what it is.
For me, I'm not gonna say that the experience was the same for me. Like I did grieve losing my friends, and I did grieve losing my relationships and my various jobs and businesses. I really struggled with that loss. Because at the time I didn't understand this detoxing that God was doing for me. You know, I
Yeah.
felt I was in such a victim mindset
Mhm.
that it was like, why is this happening to me? Why is everyone leaving me? Why am I being abandoned? It was really painful for me. Obviously,
Yeah.
now I understand, you know, in hindsight, we're all geniuses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Different. But when you're moving forward, you can't connect the dots. You can only connect the dots looking back. And when you're in it, it's okay to have like human emotions and be sad and be bitter and be angry and feel what needs to be felt, right? So that you can complete that emotional loop. Because whatever is left incomplete is just going to echo and echo and echo and recreate echoes. So I
Yes.
think it's okay to be bad, to be mad and be sad and grieve and have a little pity party. Like I always tell my clients, like have a pity party. If today is one of those days or this situation is one of those situations that you're sad about, be sad about it. Like grieve the end of this season, because that's what winter is, right? The winter season is where everything appears on the surface to be dead, but underneath the soil, things are happening, and you're only going to see them in the springtime again. But it's okay to see winter for what it is. And
I agree.
when you've had enough seasons, you can start to find the pleasure in the pain as well. You can start to find relief in that pain as well. I think we as humans are so programmed to avoid anything that is uncomfortable, that when I'm sad, I need this sadness to be over as quickly as possible. But you wouldn't want to limit your happiness. Like when you're happy, I want to finish this happiness as
Let's
quickly as
rush
possible.
through that part. Yeah.
To have all of those, because that's what makes up the whole rainbow or the whole spectrum of being human. And you signed up to be human, right?
Right. Well, I have loved this discussion. I have to rush off because I've got several lined up. But will you tell me how you pronounce your name?
Anastasia Girali.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because I will, like, when I do the episode, I'll give an actual intro then. But I have loved this information. And if there's anything that you want specific included in the show notes or the intro that I get for you, just feel free to send it over. And thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much. This was amazing. I wanted to ask you, Skoufos is a Greek surname, or where's the origin of that name?
Okay, so that's my ex-husband's last name.
Okay.
And he's Greek.
Okay.
And they did a whole, they're really connected to their Greek heritage. They do a lot, like they showed like where they came over on Ellis Island, like all kinds of stuff. So my two boys are Greek. And so that's their last name too. But yeah.
I love that. Okay, I was wondering. I was like, oh, because that sounds like a Greek name. So that's
It is, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm also like a child of immigrants, so I know how important the link back to the motherland is.
Yeah, they love it. And well, that's why we were going to take the Mediterranean cruise. And I took my oldest to New York and we were going to go see Ellis Island and see the registry in person, but it was closed that day. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? We're in New York. We saw Statue of Liberty, but yeah, I hope to one day go there because we had this whole plan and it didn't work out, but I'm excited.
Like,
I feel like I will.
To travel to Greece, it's such a magical place.
I want to so bad.
Be open to the energies and to the history and the culture. It's beautiful. Malisa, thank you so much. I love this conversation. This was super fun. I love the name of the podcast. Really, that was like the thing that I was like, I need to get on that. And I will send you an email with a teeny tiny little bio, a short version, and then a link to like a freebie.
Okay, yay! And I will share all of that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And if you are sharing snippets of this anywhere on Threads or on Instagram, please do tag me and I'll share it on my wall as well.
Okay, I will. All right. Have a wonderful Wednesday.
You too. Bye.
Bye.